It's always out her mouth.
Just shake that ass, Hulk, and let me see what you got. Just shake that ass, Hulk, and let me see what you got. Just shake that ass, let's see what you got. Just shake that ass, okay, let me see what you got. Just shake that. Come on. Jennifer coming, JT coming, She Hulk coming, She Hulk coming, Trick coming. Woo! Good morning and welcome to Twerking has entered the chat. Yes, She-Hulk is in the building, everybody, and her and Meg the Stallion have decided they're gonna go ahead and show us how to get twerking into the MCU minus Doctor Strange and any spells. Good morning, man. It's your boy, the real Vince Taylor. We out here, man, and obviously this is the real. Oh shoot, this is the New Blurred Order. Talk about all the stuff that happened this week, and it's been quite the eventful week. Do us a favor right now, if you tune in, go ahead and share that page, share that link, and hit that reminder. Get those notifications, and yeah, man, join us because today we got a lot to talk about, man. Clearly, if you were watching this week, you know that there was a controversy about gamma ray powered twerk artists. But the big deal this week, honestly. In addition to the Game of Thrones House of Dragons episode, which I thought was pretty epic, and us now having the Lord of the Rings official TV show, seems to like it's kind of competing with the Game of Thrones show a little bit. So let's go ahead and do some comparisons here. And hello, Black Elves have entered the chat in addition to Harfeet. Is it foot? Feet,
Harfoot, yeah.
Heartbeat, the heartbeat. All right, Harfoots, Black feet. I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. So let's go ahead and discuss. I, as always, am here to talk with you. It's your boy, the real Vince Taylor. We back in the Spider-Man cave, man. Still in recovery, but hey, we out. We obviously are joined with the boy, Bad Ty Bricks. What's going on, homeboy? We got Yazzie in the house. She-Hulk herself. we got Steph in the building, of course. We got Tyrone looks unusually jubilant today. I don't know. He looks extremely happy. We got Tyrone in the building, man. He's got enough to say. And of course, joining us again today, special guest Nolly is here to talk all things Game of Thrones, even the Rings of Power, man. Let's go ahead and talk this good old nerd stuff. And make sure y'all comment because this is interactive and share so we can make this conversation as broad as possible. As you know, boy, this is the New Blurred Order. Let's see what we got to say.
Hey guys, I love the New Blurred Order. You should too.
Whoa.
All right, now I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, man. There's a lot to talk about. I'm really intrigued by yesterday's debut of the Rings of Power. I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but oh my God, like it was so epic. Excuse me, She-Hulk. Let me bring some of this on. Yeah, it was so epic. I normally like to wait for our opinions for a little while to get it, but I can't even. I mean, I heard online that the Rings of Power debut was going to put the House of Dragon debut to shame, and I was like, get the fuck, come on, please. But I ain't gonna lie, man, it was pretty refreshing. So, but before we get into the Rings of Power debut, which is very much in need to be discussed, we had some discussion this morning about the moral argument of twerking in the MCU. Yes, you were saying that your mom wasn't too happy. And hold on, before that, somebody has already left a comment. I think you were saying on the post that we made this morning, saying something about She-Hulk. Do you have that handy? Could you read that out loud? What was that?
1 second.
Yes. And some people were making a big deal out of the She-Hulk twerk, and maybe some of those people on this panel we haven't even discussed it yet. So I'm kind of curious. Before we get into this, before you read this, Yaz, I'm gonna put this ass back on the screen right quick, and I'm just gonna ask y'all right now. Just do me a favor and show the screen. Give me a thumbs up if you approve. Give me a thumbs down if you disapprove, or give me a meh if you really don't care one way or another. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in 3, 2, 1, and we got okay. So we got Nolly approves. Yeah, Steph is in the middle. All the men are in approval. Oddly enough, we are unified, and Yaz is not in approval. Now, Yaz, why don't you approve? And also, what is it that the comment said this morning about our twerking superhero?
So, our comments, I'll just read that first. That way, we can get it out of the way. It said, is this the female superhero that's supposed to be a role model for little girls? How's shaking her butt supposed to teach female empowerment and gender equality? Which is the reason why She-Hulk launched in the first place. And I'm not going to lie with him. I kind of actually agree. I mean, that was the whole... how did you get this angle? I just want to know how you got that. He must have timed that perfectly. I can't remember right now.
I got connections.
But it's just, it's this whole show out of the gate started out women empowerment. She's a lawyer. She's, all about just being a badass, doing her job, just working. And then she becomes a Hulk, you know what I'm saying? And then we see her even more of a badass, and she didn't even want to be. Her friend kind of had to give her a little bit of encouragement to do it. So, you know what I mean? It's this show out of the gate kind of gave us women hope. We're like, hell yeah, we're not being sexualized. You know what I'm saying? She's a lawyer. This is all about, her career and her life being She-Hulk. At no point in turn did anybody think that Megan Thee Stallion was going to show up in this season and that they were going to be twerking on camera either. So I don't know. It's just kind of, for Marvel, I don't know if I would say it's not very classy. I guess it's a little, I don't know. And I'll explain why. The internet has made things so horrible now. I mean, everything is sexualized. Women are especially sexualized on the internet. So you have to understand there are videos, and I've seen so many different videos of little girls 5 years old, not even in twerking, and their moms are in groups with them, and they're all just clapping, just egging the little girls on. That's, I mean, at some point, we have to draw the line. What are you teaching your children? You know what I mean? We're parents here trying to educate, not trying to be watching little girls twerk. You know what I'm saying? 13, 14-year-old girls right now are sexualized because of how they look. I don't want to see videos of them twerking, and I damn sure don't want to see a little 5-year-old doing it, or any age younger than that. I'm just saying that's for an adult thing, and to see that Marvel has made themselves such a great thing for how we look at ourselves and how we compare ourselves to these superheroes, and how, they come from these different backgrounds, and, they have these different growths and stuff like that. And then we see Megan Thee Stallion on the screen and She-Hulk's just sitting there. I mean, at least they had her in her suit, so that part didn't make me so mad. But at the same point in turn, it's just you could have left that out. You know what I'm saying? Megan Thee Stallion, we got it. We know what she's about, and she already did the ass. So you know what I'm saying? It just, the end credit scene, I don't know. It was a little extra for me. It wasn't something that I was looking for. It wasn't something I was just I was kind of shaking my damn head at it. I don't need little girls being this is okay. She-Hulk does it. I'm gonna dress in green and just start twerking. I don't want to see that on the internet right now.
You feel the same way, Ty?
I think that's a little excessive. I mean, that's just me. But look, I'm just saying, I was telling a story earlier about my mom. My mom used to play around a lot as a kid growing up. And my mom's not really a dancer. She can't really dance. Sorry, Mom. But but she used to always twerk. She used to always pop her booty and stuff. Maybe she wasn't dropping down and doing.
There's live footage of Ty's mom right here.
But yeah, no, that was not my mom. but my mom did do these little funny things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And as much as maybe some women have a thing against twerking. Twerking is still an art form. It is still, it's true. It's a form of dance. Right. It's a form of dance. It's a form of expression. I think in the context of what was going on, which is two women, one being a fan of the other, Meg Thee Stallion being known for, twerking and and rapping and everything like that and having a good time. I think to see two women in business suits in the office having fun. There are no men around, by the way. They're just twerking to her music. It was just the music. The music. Her, for some reason, Meg's music has has that effect.
It brings out the
And
little
then,
bonus.
listen. I've seen Instagram posts of rooms full of women, and Meg the Stallion comes on, and every last one of them start twerking. Like, you know what I mean? Whether they have something to twerk or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just they're having fun. I think this was just another having fun moment. She wasn't in the club. There wasn't a dude behind her. Right. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't dudes behind her watching it. Like, this was just two women having fun within in the confines of her office, even though it's a see-through glass office. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying, only one man saw and he walked away. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Stephanie, what you think?
I just think it was corny. Like, it's not that I'm like, oh, this is wildly inappropriate. I just feel like it's corny. It's expected. It wasn't like a huge twist. I honestly would have enjoyed it more if it was Captain America or like someone that you would really not expect to twerk with Megan Thee Stallion. Right. That could have been really fun. But She-Hulk doing that, it feels typical.
All right. What say you about
Hulk? If it was Hulk, it'd be okay. If Hulk was in there,
it would be more entertaining if it was Hulk.
Yeah.
Or America's ass, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know Jen is all about America's ass, you know what I'm saying? So that, I get you.
Sexualization.
I want to ask Ty back.
It's okay when it's a woman, but not a man.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think about what Yaz is saying? Like that this is going to make kids in elementary school twerk in the street, and that there's going to be like repercussions because Marvel is kind of going for the twerk vote.
I feel like we were already there. I don't think any little girl who was not going to twerk is going to. I don't think.
Well said, Stephanie. Well said. I like that. Any girl who's not going to twerk is going to twerk. I like that. Okay, well said.
Nolly, what you think?
I'm not. I get what Yaz is saying 100%. But I just when it comes to
You're breaking up real bad, Nolly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Men, but when we do it, it's like, like everybody's got nipples, but like twerking is dancing, and it's just women dancing.
Right.
I'm not bothered. Let them have it. It's Megan Thee Stallion. Everyone expects twerking when she's on.
Right. Tyrone, what about you? And it's breaking up just a little bit, Nolly. So I don't know if there's anything to be done about that, but either way, glad you're here. Tyrone, what are your thoughts about Twerkgate?
I wish it could have just been like, oh, there's a little extra and mid-credit scene. Oh, they're having fun. That's cool. Right. And then everybody move on. That's how I thought it should be handled. But I'm not the Reverend from Footloose, so I didn't get mad about it. I don't buy the whole like protected kids angle because they've been making Captain America ass jokes since Endgame, and they made them in this show. So nobody cares about the kids. They just care when they see a woman having fun. That whole thing. I don't buy any of it. It's all just it's overreacting to the show itself, to women having fun, to them just enjoying, kind of just trolling the misogynists and the people who have a problem with the fact that She-Hulk even exists. That commenter, for example, the reason why She-Hulk was launched was for women empowerment and gender equality. No, it wasn't. It's because they wanted to make a She-Hulk show. That's what it was launched because She-Hulk's been around since the 70s, something like that. You know what I mean? Like this, none of this is that wasn't to make a point. That was to have a good time. Tatiana Maslany, I saw a little video where she was talking about how she's just a huge Megan Thee Stallion fan, and the writer of the show wrote that scene in just so they could have a good time, and they enjoyed it. So I say, let's have some fun.
Yes, and you're right, Minnie. That is Chanel number 5.
One more thing. We sat here for like a few minutes last week and talked about whether or not we'd have sex with She-Hulk, and nobody was mad about sexualizing She-Hulk.
It's true.
If I recall, you instrumented the us kind of getting out of that conversation.
Getting out of it, yes. Well, I mean, because more than anything, I was just like, yeah, well, I would have sex with She-Hulk, but like, it's just that as a matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, nobody. It's so, I just the fake outrage. Miss me with that fake outrage.
Miss me with the fake outrage. All right, real quick, I want to take some time out to say what up, Marissa. What up, Minnie? What's going on, Daniel? What up, Seriously Black, Lisa? All of our thank you, the family. Appreciate y'all for being here, and everybody else who's watching but lurking and not saying anything. Welcome y'all to join the conversation as well. My 2 cents. I'm kind of on board with Stephanie. I don't think it was corny though. I do think that it was just a little clout chasey for me. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole entire episode was very Meg Thee Stallion, Meg Thee Stallion, Meg Thee Stallion, and it was obvious they're going for her fan base and for a hip hop fan base. But it just felt a little reachy. You know what I'm saying? Like now again, this is not the first time this has happened. If you watch shows from back in the day, I remember the Fresh Prince episode where Ashley got Tevin Campbell to sing for her, and it was like a huge deal. Like the whole episode is all about Tevin Campbell. So I get it; these things happen. It just seems a little bit of a reach for Marvel to even need that type of clout chase. When they're right now leading the cinematic industry with their projects. So it just was a little baffling that they had to. That it felt so forced a little bit. Now, having said that, did not mind just real quick. Did y'all like me hear about the twerking before you saw the twerking? Because I hadn't seen it. And then people was already coming up to me like, yo, can you believe that bitch? And I was like, what? And so before I even saw it, I was upset. I was like, I can't believe like they're doing that. And I saw it, I was like, Tom, it was like 5 seconds. It literally was like I've had the GIF, excuse me, Tyrone, on screen
good job.
longer. I've had the GIF on screen longer than the actual scene lasted, and it was a post-credit scene. So, like the folks who are doing the faux outrage out there, I do think that it's two people. It's either folks who just think that twerking is associated with ratchetry, which there's some could argue that it is, but I could argue also that twerking is just another form of dance, like line dancing, like square dancing, like like stepping. We know it's not because it's ass shaking, but you could argue. I think Ty was about to make that argument too. So
it's true. It is more than just ass shaking, because if it was just ass shaking, then everyone would be able to do it. And I'm just being
according
honest.
to Ty, okay,
No, I'm just being honest. There are women
dancing.
dance instructors that instruct women in classes on how to twerk. Because when you look at a woman twerking, especially like you just saw right here in this motion, that let's just diagnose this motion.
Here we go. All right, break it down, Bad Ty. Break it down.
So as you can see, her posture is very good. She's straight up. She bends her knees at almost a 90-degree right angle.
Okay, squatting, perfect spot.
She gets very low in her stance, and the arch in her back is perpendicular with the ground.
Okay, so
and
she's squatting. Right.
What I'm saying is that everybody can't do this. Like everybody can't just do that. They can mimic the form and everything, but it doesn't turn out the same way. But once you're instructed on the way to do it properly, I have seen great results come out of that situation. So that's why I'm saying it. I have to say it is dance. It is an expression. It is an art form. And I'm that's out there to all the dance instructors. That's for you guys.
Well, Ty,
big ups to Ty on his happy for your squat formation, because that's what it is.
Look, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying if we got a personal fitness instructor on the show right now, they'd be like, "That's a perfect squat with an ass jiggle." That's what they would tell you.
With an ass jiggle.
With an ass jiggle to end it. Up to bring it down. That's what they would tell you. Perfect squat.
I just want to real quick, guys. I mean, make sure you know that you're talking with Ty, the clairvoyant. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if you knew this, but somebody predicted that we might see not only, some cameos, but accurately predicted some cameos last week.
She-Hulk is successful because each week you're going to see somebody else new. I bet you guess who we going to see next week? Juan. We're going to see Juan next week.
So even though you called him Juan, like he's from Mexico,
I did call him Juan.
like Juan Torres is gonna be on the show. Wong actually did show up on She-Hulk this week, and I was so excited. And now I gotta also say, it made me bust out loud laugh when in the very beginning she spoke directly to the camera and was like, all right, now look, I know y'all all happy to see Wong. And she was like, but it's still my show. Right. You know what I'm saying? And don't think that he's gonna get a cameo every week. Like that was very refreshing, man. It once again took me outside. The best thing about the most refreshing thing from She-Hulk for me is the comedic element of it. This is a comedy show with superhero side effects, in my opinion. It's basically Ally McBeal with the superhero. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even watch Ally McBeal, so I'm assuming that it was something like this. But I think it was a lawyer show of some sort. I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. Someone do some muting here. So I'm just trying to kind of just get an idea as to what it is that we really are going to expect from She-Hulk going forward. Because if they are going to be doing cameos, because we're 3 episodes in. And we got a cameo every show thus far. All right. And we know there's only 6 episodes. And we know that we got at least one more coming, which is Daredevil has to show up. Like we already know that. So, I mean, is She-Hulk basically saying that did I lose y'all? Okay. Is She-Hulk basically kind of like Jermaine Dupri? He can't handle a single on his own. He's got to have features on his CD for it to sell. Otherwise, he can't do it alone. He can't. She-Hulk is not J. Cole. She can't do a show with no features. She's kind of stuck, having to bring folks on to generate interest, which is interesting because I don't think that's the case. What do you think, Ty?
I mean, you're the one that's exactly what I've been saying from the show. I mean, I don't think it's going to change. I think everything that I pretty much said is probably going to happen. Maybe minus the Hawkeye, but yeah, this show, what makes this show so good for me, I'll say it every week, is those introductions, is those other people that keep showing up, that we may recognize or don't recognize. So that to me, as long as they continue, because I still hate the CGI. I hated it even more in this episode because she literally was floating across the floor. I don't know if anybody else was paying attention to that, but when she walks in the office, I swear she floats like she does not even. It's not even a walk. It's so robotic and everything. It just looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. So anytime, she's in She-Hulk form on camera, I'm just like, really like that. It really is terrible. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see our guy Daredevil next week. Or maybe a Kingpin or some. We'll see some people. We'll see some people. I know every show we'll see.
Now, outside of the twerk gate that we talked about for half an hour, what else happened in this episode? Yaz, do you recall the goings on? Could you break down what happened in the episode for us? Do you remember?
I'm sorry. I have seen like 5 to 6 different shows since I watched this the other day, and I haven't rewatched this one specifically. Okay. So let me just give you like a breakdown of what I remember real quick. Okay, so basically we're in court to try and get Emil, aka Abomination, out of his high security prison. And we're basically just sitting around trying to figure out a strategy until Wong shows up and does his little circle, and this whole time, we're just trying to prove basically, Abomination's innocence, why he snuck out of the prison and why it wasn't his fault. But we find out that he could have actually broke out of his jail cell at any time because he can literally like transform whenever the fuck he wants to and then go right back. It's really, really kind of cool and creepy at the same time. So Abomination definitely showed us his, more reformed. I have, become a new man of society with his, was it 7 or 9 pen pals? I can't remember.
Yeah,
It was a pimp.
8.
Let's just say that. We found out Abomination
7, yeah.
has like a bunch of booty waiting for him when he gets out. Different colors, different sizes, different shapes. And they all wear these like kind of cult like gown, like Mary gowns. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, but yeah, all of them showed up in prison to make sure that he got arraigned, and they're all trying to make sure that he's financially taken care of. So, and all his needs are satisfied. So that was very interesting to see. But we also got to see Hulk Wong basically admit that he broke him out of a prison just so he could become Sorcerer Supreme. And that was very interesting. And I thought that was kind of a cool little tidbit that they shared with us. Other than that, Emil basically got his innocence, and Megan Thee Stallion was in this one because of I can't remember what the creepy little lawyer dude that she don't like his name. Do you guys remember what his name is? The
Bukowski.
Bukowski. So that dude, apparently he got into a relationship with someone he thought was Megan Thee Stallion, but it actually was a Asgardian elf, which when you see her, I'm not gonna lie, that shit was funny. The elf, no lie, was like one of my favorite parts of this whole entire episode, because her just taunting at being the Supreme Court justice and everything, that shit was like really funny. And then she did her whole like speech with like Thor, Asgardian is a place, not a people. And like that shit was really great. I'm not gonna lie, and the judge just kind of like cut her off. So this episode, it's really good. I'm not gonna lie, Marvel has definitely surprised me with how great these episodes keep getting, and the cameos inside of them and stuff like that. But it definitely just was a little. Lisa had a great comment and I just want to bring it up on the screen real quick. So Lisa's issue is that Jennifer is always talking about how serious of she takes her career and how she just wants to be taken seriously as a lawyer, even though she's now a Hulk. And now that she has to be in her serious, she Hulk all the time, that's not really like her serious lawyer office behavior that she's trying to just tell everybody and go off as, her persona as like what kind of lawyer she wants to be. So I definitely agree with you, Lisa. The whole twerking scene at the end was a little off brand as well. It didn't bother me too much, but I just it made me laugh more than anything. I was kind of shocked that Marvel would put that in the end credit scene. Like, it's Marvel. That was just a little crazy for me, because we all watch the end credit scenes like legit, we wait for them, it's just, it was hilarious. But at the same time, I wasn't ready for it. So I agree with you. It just, it wasn't really something I was looking forward to, but it was something that I didn't know I needed to see, I guess you could say, because that was pretty funny. It's like She-Hulk, like she's a big ass bitch and she's just twerking.
What's up, Ty?
I was just saying to Yaz's comment, it's surprising to me that you would say it's surprising to you that Marvel would put it on their post prep. That's literally where they put that type of stuff.
Yeah, but Marvel it's still Disney. You know what I'm saying? So that, and it's on Disney. So Disney, I'm learning, is definitely starting to get a lot more like, I don't know, they're reaching out of their box. So I'm happy with this, because now this year, then they come out with the whole kids and adults, rated TVs and stuff like that kids can only see certain ones and adults can only see. I'm happy about that. But at the same point, I don't have children yet. And if I did, and my kids saw this, like a little kid, I would be a little upset, to come home or something and my baby's like, oh, look, mom, I'm being like She-Hulk. Like, that pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. Because at my household, I don't just be doing that for the hell of it. Yes, I dance and I carry on and I, express myself freely, but it's just that's just not something that I do. You know what I'm saying? So I just wouldn't want my kids. I wouldn't want my kids thinking that's okay to do.
Well, let me just tell you. I'm surprised. I'm a parent. Surprised. She-Hulk's not going to be the one to teach your children that. It's probably going to be other.
But she's
children.
the one that's going to validate it. So
it's probably going to be other children that teach your children that, or it could be, like I said, even in my case, where parents have fun, like this idea that mothers don't have fun when they're home alone with their kids. Like, come on now, if ever there's a time for you to twerk, is in the privacy of your own home.
And I agree with you on that, but I'm just saying outside
that's
of
not where
home,
this is happening.
I don't want them thinking that's okay. That's what I'm saying. They're not at home. They're in her office. Her lot, like you said, with a bunch of windows. There's cameras. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the new day and age, I'm sorry, but everything gets recorded. So it's just
we sound like
I want to enlist into my youngins that it's okay to be acting like this when you're outside the household. You see what I'm saying? So
we sound like a British radio station after the Beatles dropped "I Want to Hold Your Hand" and be like, "How dare they hold hands? I want to hold your hand." They're talking about sex. No, because it's the same. It's like the same, like overreaction to like stuff that doesn't need a reaction. Like, the same thing. It's always this reaction of like, but the kids and like the kids are fine. Also, like,
are they though?
Yeah, and not
I'm
only
just saying,
that, but
like these are just things that we're validating that are okay, and these are
shows filled with violence and mystical magic and fights and stuff like that.
Twerking.
Right, but I mean, I would say twerking is probably the least severe of the things that we're going to see in a Marvel show. I mean, like if we want to argue whether or not a kid's going to watch a Marvel show, and if we're going to argue about whether or not a kid wants to see a Marvel show, and then they go and punch their friend in the face, are we going to be like, oh, but the violence they taught the kids violence? You know what I mean?
It's fantasy versus reality. Twerking, everyone does it, like you said. Parents do it in their house. It's just it's fantasy versus reality. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just bringing that shit. Like you said, it could happen with schools, because if they watch stuff, you're right, it can. I'm just saying, it's just something I'm just not trying to have to yell at my child or do something to discipline them over something simple as they were just like, but mom, She-Hulk did it. Like it's okay. Like no, in our household it's not.
First of all, I feel the need to make sure that Yaz knows that the Beatles was a popular group back in the 60s.
I know who the Beatles were. I listened to them. I know who Sgt. Pepper's band is. Thank you. Okay, I know who they are. Thank you.
I didn't know. Number one. Number two, it feels very what's the comparison? It's like it's very the video games, you know what I'm saying? Every time there's a mass murder, you know what I'm saying? It's very, you know what I'm saying? Rap music, you know what I'm saying? It's very scapegoaty. I for one, I can understand your concern, but I think that there's a couple different issues here, and I don't want to take the whole show to talk about. This isn't Teen Summit, so I don't want to. But I think that one of the issues that we have here, the underlying issue that we're not talking about, is the moral clause as to whether or not twerking is bad or good, evil or good. Is it something that is a stain on our culture? You know what I'm saying? Or is it just something that we brought in a different form from our native country, native continent, and now are expressing it in a manner that may feel a little more vulgar, but is still an independent cultural art form, as Todd would say, that represents our culture. Again, my issue isn't the twerking itself. My issue is the clout. I'm just like, do you really need Meg Thee Stallion? I mean, and to say her that many times throughout the show. Now, I do think it's interesting that the three men have no problem with the twerking. But I also think that it's because we looked at it through the eyes of an independent. I would say like this. Let me put it like this. Me and Ty got kids. I mean, I know we're not the only ones on here, but in terms of the men, we got kids, and I'm not worried about Kiki seeing She-Hulk and then jumping on top of a car and twerking.
You have a different 11-year-old. We've all established this. You have a very intellectual 11-year-old. She's not going to be doing that shit like just to be, doing it. You know what I'm saying? But like that's what I'm saying.
But that's what it comes down to, Yaz, is because of parenting. You know what I'm saying? And everything that we see.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's a parenting issue at that point. It's a parenting issue
the whole time, because if somebody sees something on TV and emulates it, whether it's twerking, shooting, punching, suicide,
right.
These are things that the parent has to have the responsibility to make sure it's not taken the wrong way. So I'm not angry at Disney for, come on, the end credit scene last week, she said Captain America fucks. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't
said it. She wasn't like
she didn't say it. Do you think that kid's gonna go out and fuck because Captain America fucks? You know what I'm saying?
All we saw on her phone though, it was like like barely even, it was not even a picture of his specific ass. It was like just an outline of a stencil of it. So that's what I'm saying. Like right. They kept the sexualization to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like now we open the bag. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what's next now? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we top this, or you know, do we keep it this? So that's more of just where I'm like, where are we doing now with Marvel? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's gonna happen with these like shows? I'm like, fuck, we're gonna have a sex scene or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's gonna happen next? You know what I mean?
I know. I'm just so tired of Thor taking his shirt off. Go ahead, Ty.
Well, to your question, I'll bring this. We know in the comic book that She-Hulk is very promiscuous. That's number one. We also have seen in the first 2 episodes that she drinks a lot, and I mean a lot, to the point where twice she's had a hangover. You know, so we don't talk about these things as far as like, you know, what representation she's showing to young children when it comes to all of these other aspects. It becomes the twerking at the post-credit scene of this show when we start pointing fingers and saying, "Oh, she maybe not the you know, the role model we thought she was." I think if we're really being honest, Marvel is still Marvel. Whether they went under Disney's umbrella or not, they're still Marvel. Disney has had to kind of adjust themselves to accommodate Marvel, thereby instituting a parental code and all of these things to protect these small, very small children that you were referring to from isolated events like this on some of the content. But like I said, I think this is really a reach. This is an overreaction at, you know, for real at best. You know, there's going to be a lot more. If this is going to be the thing that we kind of hang our hats on, then get ready, because you're going to be upset. You're going to be really, really upset, because I'm sure they got more. I know we saw in one scene already on a preview of one thing, her carrying a dude to the bedroom as She-Hulk. So what's going on?
Let me speak a little bit, and then let's get to some of this Lord of the Rings stuff, man. But and please, Phil, speak up, Steph and Nali, if you have any, if I say anything wrong in this next. But I think that a self-respecting woman who has earned a law degree, who has worked their way up to a respectable office in a respectable law firm, should be able to express themselves outwardly without being twerk shamed or judged based on a few moments. I do think that we also have to be careful about the inadvertent sexualization of children. A story comes to mind to me of somebody who posted their daughter on Twitter at the beach, and the hate that she got because the daughter was in a bikini, and it was like, she's like a 8-year-old child. She doesn't know that she, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's like, well, you should put her. We're like, yo, you're the one sexualizing the child. I'm not. Nobody else is. So I'm not saying that that's what you're doing, Yaz. I'm not saying that that's what anybody's doing. But sometimes we may put more on into something than is actually there. This may be less about the twerk. I think that the issue for some folks is the fact that it was twerking. If they were just dancing, doing the snake, if they was doing anything else, I think that twerk represents kind of like a low segment of society for some folks, and it just gives folks heebie-jeebies, so to speak, to have to deal with the possibility that first of all, that there's a cartoon character twerking in front of their child, but also that it's happening on one of their favorite shows. I take more issue with the fact that ain't no way in the world that ass is real. Like the ass don't match. I'm sorry, but I did let's go ahead and look at the measurements here.
I'm done.
So once I look at the thighs here and the circumference versus the, let me stop. But anyway, yeah, I'm a little more upset with that. But I don't know, man. I guess it doesn't. It's something that if you don't watch the show and you hear about it, I can see how you'd be outraged. But if you watch it and you're like, oh my God, it's 5 seconds at the very end of the show, like at the very end of the end, it wasn't even relevant to the show. Then it's like, all right, whatever. What's up, Bad Time? I mean, good.
I just want to request that the next time we talk about She-Hulk, can we talk about like what's going on in the show instead of?
I was actually hoping that
I would love to do that at some point. I tried
to get Yaz gave us the rundown and told us about the 7 sister wives. You know what I'm saying? And so before we move on, Tyrone, Was anything that stood out? I want to say before we talk about Rings of Power, because I cannot wait to talk about Rings of Power. But I was a little thrown off with this episode, not because of the content, but because they tried to sneak in an action sequence at the very last the last few seconds. And I thought that was kind of whack. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have to try to sneak that in. You know, like every show that's an action-based show doesn't always have to watch. It doesn't, like, sometimes you'll watch Walking Dead, which I'm in the middle of finishing right now, and like there'll be a show where it's just, you know, it's still good content-wise, but they don't have to throw a zombie in it just to make it, you know, just to satisfy that. So
but I think in that moment, what they were actually establishing was the kind of maybe B plot of the show, which is that somebody's trying to extract her DNA for probably nefarious purposes. We don't know who that is. We're going to probably figure out who that is. I'm hoping it's Kingpin. I would love to see that be the case. But like, there's stuff going on in the show that's actually like really fun to think about and talk about and everything. But there is, to your point earlier about like clout chasing and stuff like that, I do think that there's like a problem with TV as a whole right now, where like TV is trying to chase the memes, and I hope that TV gets away from that, because we don't have to be everything doesn't have to be the internet. So we should like it would be fun to stay away from trying to like be a meme every week. But yeah, there's actually stuff happening.
Oh, hey, baby.
Hey,
That's a mom for you. She said, didn't even say anything.
It's a good stiff arm.
she's like, yo, you do
Said,
not
I don't
exist.
care about
Back
your
into your closet. I said, I'm sorry, let me not do
That was
that.
so
Yeah,
funny.
yes, but you about to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just remember when we first realized that, you know, she was Hulk, and Hulk used her blood to fix himself. Remember that her blood can just, I guess, ionize certain things and do certain things that his blood can't. So remember that. So that's probably why they're trying to steal it, because Hulk, in the first, you know what I'm saying, like, of her realizing she's a Hulk, he was telling her how amazing her blood is, and how, you know, this is why she doesn't have all these, you know what I'm saying, like she can control it better than he can, basically, and it's just like off natural ability. So obviously there's something inside of her, and only them two have that specific gene too. He was saying, like, they both have that specific gene that can turn gamma radiation into, you know what I'm saying, the Hulk, instead of it killing them. So that might be something that they're trying to steal, because they tried to steal it from Banner maybe a long time ago or something like that in one of the other movies. You know what I'm saying? That could be one of the cameos. It could be a flashback also, like, you know what I'm saying, from like the freaking guard from the, you know what I'm saying, like the original one, the dad. You know what I'm saying? It could be anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could use somebody from the original, like, movies of the Incredible Hulk, you know, just to come back for that. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what about, did anybody peep that did Hulk say that he was out of space? Like, is he doing he's fighting World War Hulk right now? Like,
he's on his way to it.
So he's fighting with the Sokovians, and
he's on his way to Sakaar,
and that's a big deal. Like that was
a huge deal. Yeah.
So I mean, that's another plot that's developing. We also have this. I don't know if this is the last time we're going to see your boy
Emil Blonsky.
I cannot. What is?
I don't know why I can't say. I don't know why I can't say his name.
Abomination.
Do you think we're going to see him again, Tyrone? You think he's not going to? You think he's actually going to stay to his word and not? Do you believe what this dude was saying in court? Like, he gave a very compelling case. It's interesting. I mean, this is the main villain of the second Hulk movie, who all of a sudden is reformed. You know, he's now, you know, Jim Jones. You know, got his own little cult. And I don't know if I take him at his word.
I would be shocked if we never see Abomination again. I think that we will see him pop up, and he'll probably be convinced to turn into the Abomination for a reason that he believes in, and you know, so I'm leaning towards Thunderbolts as our next time seeing Abomination.
That's what Daniel was just saying in the comments. I was like, damn, Thunderbolts, yes.
Oh yeah, Baron Zemos, folks. Okay, cool. Did I think we covered pretty much. I guess just to real quick respond to Lisa's comment. I don't think that that She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters, wanting to be taken seriously as a lawyer and also twerking have to be
mutually
I
exclusive.
know. We're supposed to get away from this conversation, Tyrone. I'm sorry, but just real quick before Lisa, I don't know if those things have to be mutually exclusive. I mean, she can be taken serious. She can be serious and still have moments of brevity, right? I mean, she doesn't have to be. Plus, let's also remember the fact that she didn't want to be She-Hulk at this place. Like, she's geeking out over somebody that she loves, and she is being told she has to be She-Hulk against her. She doesn't want that to be the case. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if I subscribe to that. But definitely appreciate the opinion. What's up?
Can I really just say this too? Also, just really quick, I want everybody to also understand that the song that was playing was Body Yaddy 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 Yaddy.
It was.
When you actually watch that video, the dance routine of Megan the Stallion in that is just a whole bunch of twerking. When they Body Yaddy Yaddy Yaddy, they were just doing the dance routine of that song. So like in the context of what they were doing, like it made sense because they were doing. She was playing Body Yaddy Yaddy. And you're in here with your biggest, the person you love the most, and y'all are performing her song and you're doing the dance to her video. This in that moment is what that moment is supposed to be about. Not so much about the isolated twerking. That's what happens in the video. That's what literally happens. So it's
okay. All right, we get it. You like the tweet, you like the twerk. It's just
art form dance.
I really want to say that there's a lot of Asgardian references
going
on in the She-Hulk. So just pay attention to that because those dudes did have Asgardian weapons. And the only way they're getting Asgardian weapons, let's just say might be from the government.
No,
he said remember New Asgard is now officially part of like Norway, so they could have stole them from New Asgard and then took them.
Yeah, she was like, did you rob
a construction worker tools? They weren't just like normal, just like weapons that they had there. It was construction. She literally said that it was like construction worker Asgardian tools. So it was probably from that town, and they were probably building something, and they stole it. Just saying.
Yeah, they said that in the show. They said, "Did you rob an Asgardian construction worker?" And they said, "Yeah." They gave it to us right away.
Is New Asgard in Norway?
It's in Norway.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's where. Okay, that makes sense. That would. I mean,
that's why
Norwegian,
your show that you like so much. That one that I can't stand, the Ragnarok one. That's why.
Hey, look, Ty likes that show too. Don't.
Hey, it's back
bring you down with me.
Back for another season, by the way.
It's not. Netflix canceled. It's gone. Just like the other one you recommended. That was really bad.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Shout out to Ahan, man. Appreciate you being in here. Talk about Asgardians. Y'all all so silly, man. Well, look, I just want to just take this moment, but as we transition to Rings of Power, and just say, look, man, even lawyers who are 6'7" deserve to be able to bend their knees and shake their rumps, especially when they're fully clothed and successful. And I think that dance shaming, twerk shaming, especially when it's not like she had to twerk in order to get the 5 stones to reappear from a different dimension. Like, this wasn't even a plot point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was literally a couple of seconds at the very end of it. A quick little fun scene. They're clearly going for comedic brevity in this show. Like, this show is not meant to be a heavy show, kind of like Falcon and Winter Soldier was. This show is all comedy with a few points where they get serious, and I don't even know if I've even identified those points yet. And so that's what it is, man. It was good seeing Wong. It was good to see. He was hilarious. Like he's like, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. He just showing up and then going away. It's hilarious how she talks to the screen. And I mean, I guess next week we'll see. I don't know, the 21 Savage on the show, doing his own thing. But I digress. Anything else? Because Steph's about to say something. Steph, open her mouth. You said.
That was a yawn, but I did also. I did have a thought also.
All right, what's up?
I am curious. What She-Hulk cameo would you like to see?
Well, my She-Hulk. I mean, it sounds like a good question of the day. That's not like a question of the day, right there. Why don't we come back to that one, man? Why don't we come back to the question of the day? What She-Hulk cameo would you like to see? Stephanie would like to know. So see if you can come up with that, and maybe in the last 10 minutes of the show, we'll get everybody's comments. We'll talk about it, and we'll get everybody on the panel's opinions. So let's go ahead while we've got some time here and get into something else. How about what debuted this week? Right now, we got the Battle of the Blondes. Okay, we've got the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon versus the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, which just debuted this week. And it's all blondes that are leaning this stuff, man. I mean, it's either you're white blonde, dirty blonde. It's a blonde off. You know what I'm saying? And even the black people are blonde. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole thing going on right now. So I am honestly curious about you guys' opinion of the debut before we talk about the House of Dragon, which had some pretty impactful scenes. I'm curious about you guys' opinion about the debut of the Rings of Power. So let me go ahead and put this up real quick. See, if you got a chance to watch it, let's go ahead and give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a meh in the middle. Let's go ahead and reveal our true feelings about this show in 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh, what happened? Uh-oh.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, my bad. Yes, we got thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, Steph's got a.
If you're in the middle.
Steph's in the middle. Now, before we say anything, Steph doesn't strike me as a J.R.R. Tolkien fan. Strike me as somebody who may have watched the 6 movies that led up to this show. Yes, you are. Okay, well, let's talk. What's your reservations on the show? Talk to me.
I'm not saying I'm a huge fan, but I have seen them. The Lord of the Rings movies are the kind of thing that, for improv, like you have to see them to get the references. So I have, for research purposes, seen them, and I like Legolas. I know a thing or two about the universe, but I have a terrible Smeagol impression, but I'm not like a deep fan. So I thought it was all right. I thought it was fine.
Okay. Can we hear the Smeagol impression, please?
Yeah, can we hear it, please?
Oh gosh.
We won't put your face on there, but just can we hear it?
Man, go ahead, Steph.
No, don't put her face on there. Don't put her on the spot.
Oh, my bad.
I prefaced that it was terrible. I don't know why you
zoomed in on it, like.
It's just like
Master sauce. Master sauce.
Come on, Steph. Come on.
Steph, she ain't gonna do it right now.
Smeagol loves my precious.
That is definitely terrible. Song's god awful.
I don't know if that's the thing. She's like, here's my Smeagol impression. Smeagol loves Precious. Smeagol. I'm Smeagol. Oh, the Precious.
I can't.
Well, anyway. So what was it that you did? All right. Well, let me ask you specific questions then. What are your thoughts about this character here?
I mean, I like to see Black people. I thought that was cool. Of course, the internet is losing its damn mind. Did you know Amazon turned off the reviews? That's how bad the review bombing is.
No.
You can't review it on Amazon. Yeah, it's like 36% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think like something from critics and 36 something from individuals. Yeah.
Well, they're batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. We've got. It looks like we may have one of those folks in the comment section now. There's a guy named Ahan, I think, who's trashing the the Rings of Power. He said it's bad. Didn't even read the books. And stop making even Yaz's daddy.
Woodrow.
It stopped up to the pod tussy. To talk about how he don't like the Lord of the Rings. Now, this is one of those things. This is one of those things where I didn't realize that it was bad until I talked to everybody else, because I literally watched both episodes. Halfway through the first episode, my jaw hit the floor, and it stayed on the floor for the next 90 minutes as I sat and watched them read do take all of the best elements of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and interfuse it with this modern look. Tyrone, I don't know if I'm tripping. Was it just me, bro? I mean, what you had your thumbs up, man. What did you like about it? What was so dope about it?
Yeah, I think I'm really enjoying the storytelling. It's taken its time, which I know people aren't always a fan of, but I think that they're building a really cool world, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a gorgeous show. I mean, just looking at it, it's something where like just in moments, I'm just like, damn, this is really pretty. This is crazy. So I guess you could see where all that money went. Are there a lot of blonde white folks? Yeah. There are, but we are seeing some representation in the show. But just the show itself, the acting, the storytelling, the visuals, the music, everything is hitting the right notes. It definitely it has that Lord of the Rings DNA, and it feels good. It feels big. The scope of the show feels huge.
Yeah, man, I agree. Ty, what you think, bro?
As you already know, I fell asleep the first 2 times trying to watch the series, right? But what I do remember from before I blacked out was elements of the old Lord of the Rings movies, Elrond, the Lake, Galadriel, names that I'm already familiar with, and just telling me kind of a backstory of the things that now that you're telling me, I'm like, I want this makes sense. I want to know about this. Sauron, we never actually got to see Sauron do shit. We saw it from the standpoint of the eye, like he still had power. His power was infinite. But we never got to see a physical form. We had flashback references to Sauron and the war between the war between Middle Earth. But now to actually finally have a physical form to put with Sauron, we know he's a bad motherfucker. So we gonna see some stuff. I know it's coming. So I'm interested to watch the series and see where they go with it, really.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree with almost everything you just said, especially with how it kind of leads. It pays so much homage. Like it's giving me, it almost feels like J.J. Abrams did it. You know what I'm saying? Like J.J. Abrams has a way of studying the original and bringing those elements to the reboot. And I mean, just look. Here's some things that I noticed that, like Ty said, like names like Elrond. The first city that they were showing, it looked like Rivendell at first. I was like, oh shit, is that Rivendell? It wasn't Rivendell, but it was some other place. Just looking at scenes that had those picturesque backgrounds, those backdrops that you see, like this, you know what I'm saying? And some of these other ones that you'll see from like the movies, the extensive work that goes into the CGI that She-Hulk could never, you know what I'm saying? Like these places don't exist. Like they look so real, you know what I'm saying? And I love that about Lord of the Rings. That's one of my favorite parts about Lord of the Rings is they really, in Peter Jackson's version, they really take their time with putting you in this universe and kind of giving you a clear, crisp reality, realistic view of what it feels like to be in Middle Earth, what it feels like to go through the forest with the Harfoots. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that is clearly evident here is that they are not trying to make the same mistakes they did with the originals and have a completely lily white cast. There's clear evidence of them wanting to diversify in this. I mean, one of our lead characters this time, our Legolas, is beige. You know what I'm saying? This gentleman right here,
Afro-Latino. Yeah, he's Puerto Rican.
He's a Puerto Rican dude. All right, his name is Ismael Cordoba. And he makes our first on-screen black elvish badass. I do think that we're going to be seeing him do those badass slide down the elephant scenes that we saw from Legolas. Now we also saw now I ain't gonna lie, and I don't know. I was interested. That's why I was like, I really wanted to get Stephanie. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes I see things. I'm like, I wonder what Stephanie. I'm not the only one here either. Like that happens to sometimes. I'm like, I wonder what Stephanie would say about this. The moment, like literally, the moment I saw this character, I was like, I wonder what Stephanie has. I wonder what Stephanie has to say about this. Because like there's this clear attempt to, like I said, integrate. But when I saw that they were integrating that group of folks, I was like, oh man, please don't let black people be the Harfoot. You know what I'm saying? Now it turns out they're just a melting pot. You know what I'm saying? There's all different hues in their little cliques. But I mean, are they doing a good job? I pose this question. Let me ask Tyrone, because I don't. Stephanie's gonna say no. Are they doing a good job? There was, mind you, in Game of Thrones, there were 2 black people. If you don't include the dude who had his, who ended up, the Darth, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So yeah, Khaleesi's assistant. And the one guy who they locked in the vault, and that was it. Now that we're talking 8 seasons. All right, Lord of the Rings had 6 3-hour movies in which there were 0 black people. All right, and now we're coming back and we've got black Harfoots, we've got black elves. There was like some sort of black sorceress queen lady, and on top of that, we've got a black elf queen. You know what I'm saying? This young lady right here was an elf queen, and I'm reading the comments. I see you, Daniel. I see you, Minnie. I see y'all. And there was a very important quote in the very first Lord of the Rings movie that spoke about, and is in the books, that says, it's sometimes people have difficulties distinguishing the men and the women dwarfs. And why is that, Nolly?
They got beards.
Because they have beards. Because so when you see a woman pop up on the screen and she don't have no beard, you're like, hold up, bro, what's going on for real? Like, is this chick really?
Wait though, if you looked, actually they gave her a little bit of like underscruff though. Like, you know how like we have like the sideburns, they gave her a little bit of the underscruff though. So like in certain scenes, I was like, oh, she does have a little bit of a beard. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, man. So take that, internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's got a 5 o'clock shadow. All right. So it might not be what you wanted to see, but it's the shadow. You know what I'm saying? And it works. But now I'm actually happy that she doesn't have a beard, because
it would be a good look.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna not be taken well, but bearded. I got PTSD. All right, I got post traumatic. When I was at FAM and we used to go to the calf, at least half of those women that were serving our food had beards like mine, and I would always be so afraid, because they had hair nets, but on the wrong side of their head. I was always so afraid that one was going to wind up in my grits, was going to wind up in my eggs. You know what I'm saying? And so I have trauma based on that. You know what I'm saying? Now you can say, well, what about the men? The men, oddly enough, shaved their beards and didn't have them in the calf. And I couldn't say nothing, because that's facial hair shaming. I got PTS beard, man, and so I don't want to have. But as for the characters, there's a clear attempt here. So Tyrone, man, are they doing a good job here, man, of trying to bring black folks of color into the fold? Now they're clearly trying to make this up, right?
There's definitely a clear intent here to make this cast more diverse, and I can appreciate it. Are they doing a good job? I compare relative to what we've seen in Lord of the Rings before. I would say, yeah. Would it be nice to see maybe some more amongst like the high elves or whatever, maybe some more darker tones around those folks would be cool. I don't know. I don't have a lot of familiarity with the books, so I don't know if there are reasons why these elves are always so blonde and so white. But like it's there's always room for more of us. I would love to see it more, but so far I would say they're doing a good job.
Yeah, well, listen, I'll say that they're doing something. At least they're not just accept. That's just the way it is. Some people are like that's just the way it is. I like that. Nadi, did you read the J.R. Tolkien books?
Is my mic still breaking up?
No, you're good.
No.
Okay. So Tolkien is actually my first foray into fantasy and sci-fi. I got The Hobbit on my 11th birthday, so I'm a huge fan. In terms of like diversity and stuff, he doesn't go too much into detail about skin tones and whatnot. Some of the elves are fair. but it's never been like they are all white,
Mhm.
you know. So in terms of the show, I think they're doing a decent enough job. I would like to see darker skin tones, of course. But I'm kind of excited for this.
Okay.
Super
Is
excited.
not, now this is not based on a book, right, Nolly? This is a complete screen to TV.
So there are 2 books before The Hobbit. And some of it goes a little bit into the history of Middle Earth prior to after the war with Sauron. It's not too in depth. The books are actually kind of short.
Yeah.
They're a hard read because they're extremely wordy and very, very slow. But so some of them is, you know, it's accurate because Elrond and Galadriel are centuries old as elves. So it's going to be pretty cool to see how they carry the stories out.
Okay. Well, according to what I read, this is taking place, correct me if I'm wrong, 5,000 years before the whole entire, before the Hobbit, before Frodo, before all of these folks. I mean, these folks are I mean, we're not even going to see the rings. I mean, they're just now starting to form to forge these rings. Like that's what some of this second episode was about. Not to spoil it, but some of it was mentioning, you know, the actual development of the rings and whatnot. So what's going on in these episodes? There's a lot going on, and we can break that down real quick before we talk a little bit about House of Dragon, which we got to talk about. In the first episode, oh wait, no, we're not spoiling. Okay, we're not spoiling. All right, so never mind. Well, look, let me just say this. I love Lord of the Rings. I love everything about it. I love the soundtrack. I love they've made me love New Zealand. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the orcs. I love the giants. I love the fact that we're still learning about creatures. I didn't know what a Harfoot was. You know what I'm saying? Until they started talking about them. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm loving what I'm seeing. So to hear folks like Ahan here saying that, you know, this show is trash, and even Seriously Black, some folks is here. I'm just wondering, like, what went wrong? Like, what is this show missing? Like, when I saw the show, I was like, wow, Lord of the Rings is back. You know, what did I miss? You know, where's the disconnect? Look, please, I wish we could get one of these cats on here, man. But yeah, man, just leave a comment or tell me what the hell it is that I'm missing, man. Because after watching that bullshit Wheels of Time, like this was such a refreshing watch. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just really curious if somebody could put me in my place as to what it was that I missed about this show that evidently made it not nearly as wonderful as I thought it was. I don't know, man. They even had dragons, man. They even showed us. All right, well, let me not talk too much. All right, Nolly, what's up?
So I think because we're used to the movies and because it's a movie, movies have to be fast paced because you have limited time. I don't think people were expecting the first episode to move so slowly because it's a series. We have time. It's going to be 8 episodes long. So that's 8 hours of airtime, you know? And I feel like people were just kind of impatient with the first episode because it's kind of slow moving, but it's a show, so you have to build up.
I'm gonna tell you, I have a different take. I, for one, think that it is inadvertent, ignorant racism. I think that that when you put people that look like us in fantasy roles, it makes some people lose their shit and they don't know how to handle it. This show has been trolled since they first dropped the first trailers. This show has been already there have been hatred. There's been hatred looming and lingering for it before it even got here. So I'm not surprised that when we actually, first of all, can y'all see me? My drink is. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, no, we can see you. We can hear you. You're good.
Did I lose y'all?
I don't think you can hear us yet. Vince, if you could hear us,
Are y'all having trouble
breathe.
hearing me?
No.
Okay, so you all right, my bad. I don't know. On my side is tripping. So yeah, man, I feel like this stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's look. I mean,
Oh, well,
That's
it
what
was a harbinger of things to come.
Yeah.
What he was trying to say is that dragons could fly and dwarves exist, but let them be black. That's too much fantasy.
Pretty much.
Too far. Yeah.
It's absolutely a thing, and I do, you know, and I think there's room for like people to just not like it because it's not their thing or whatever. That's cool too. You know what I mean? Sometimes people are going to watch the show. You know, like you were saying, Nolly, the first episode was slower than what people might have expected. But you know, like I said earlier, good storytelling and stuff. Beautiful show. The shots in the show are just so good. But yeah, I mean, I think what Vince was kind of asking for was, is there anybody who has some criticism other than beards and black folks that can say, hey, I think Lord of the Rings of Power isn't great because XYZ. So, oh, hey, Vince, you're back.
yeah,
it seems like that's what you were going for, was like, does anybody have any criticism for the show that's outside of people's race or beards?
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. I would like to know if this isn't a triggered response. You know what I'm saying? Just people that are like, look, man, this doesn't look the way I expected. If we're looking at Rue all over again from Hunger Games and the huge hoopla that was made over her being black, and how that was the topic of so many discussions, when in the book it described her as a person of color, but they just didn't envision her that way. Therefore, it messed up her character. Are we looking at something like that? It's just give me reasons. Like, why are people giving it 36? What is it missing? You know, and so maybe these are questions for down the line. Maybe somebody in the comments could inbox me, shoot me a text. Just let me know, man, because I see nothing wrong with the show other than the overwhelming blondness. But even that in itself, it looks like they're working on. So I also don't know, man. I mean, they kind of get old boys they got him looking like a sucker a little bit. Y'all don't think, you know what I'm saying? Like this dude, the elf dude, man, he's kind of like being a simp for this chick, you know what I mean? And yeah, evidently he's married, he's married, she's married, and you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, man. There's something about this thing that I don't really like. I don't know if you recall, this dude was in a season of Ray Donovan, if you ever watched that show, which I stopped after like 3 seasons. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I guess we'll just have to look forward to this upcoming. I mean, it's eight episodes of this, so hopefully it doesn't have this reaction the whole time. Ty,
I would say that if there's one critique about this show that I spotted, is that it may have a lack of star power. If there's one thing that I can critique, honestly, no one character really, including Galadriel, which I do like her as an actress. I've seen her in other stuff, but I didn't, and maybe she'll grow on me as the season goes on. But just from the first and the second episode, what I was able to see before I went to sleep, maybe I missed something, but none of the characters really, it did it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like where I was like, oh, I'm really interested to see where their storyline goes, or I'm really interested to see this character develop. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case for anybody else, but that's probably one critique that I could make.
Okay. Sorry. All right, serious. Yo, I wasn't calling you racist. Oh boy, I was just saying, like, I wanted folks, to give me, this is an actual legitimate let's say, I don't want to call it a complaint, but a assessment that the pacing is just bad. You know what I'm saying? This is the first thing that I've heard that wasn't just, oh, I don't like the elves, you know what I'm saying? Or blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. But whatever it is. Yeah. And what up, Phil? Phil's here too. He says that he's never really into the Lord of the Rings universe. Well, look, Sauron is here, as you see. The Rings is here, and I'm here for it, man. So if you was a Lord of the Rings fan, I would highly encourage you, please, to watch this and give us your feedback, because I'm interested to know if maybe I'm just off kilter here, and I just don't know what good content is. But I mean, this Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, frankly, I think can easily go toe to toe with the House of the Dragon right now. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I actually enjoyed the debut of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, more than the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon debut. Am I the only one on this panel, or is everybody else on here drinking the Kool-Aid of the Kardashians?
I liked Lord of the Rings. I think a little bit more. I think I got more out of the story, and I'm liking the characters a little bit more than I am in House of the Dragon so far. Mm-hmm. But still, it'll be interesting to see how I feel in 2 or 3 weeks to see if it's still going as strong, or if House of the Dragon has taken a couple steps up in their storytelling. So we'll see. But so far, this one I was like, oh, okay, all right, y'all starting off pretty strong.
All right, really quick. I just gotta take a step back. I want to address a comment that Seriously Black just made. All right, now Seriously Black is mad at me because of my racism comment, and I just want to say I thought he was black. Am I tripping? Did I just call Seriously Black, who looks to be seriously black?
He is black. We met him.
I wasn't talking about you, homeboy.
So we met Seriously Black at MegaCon.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember his profile pic was a little different than it is right now. So I wasn't talking about you. There's no reason for you to have internalized that statement. However, I get what you're saying, man. And a lot of these stuff are not only jokes but bad jokes. So don't take me too seriously. At all, ever, period. Anyway, but yeah, man, I think that's a little better. Now, House of Dragon did come on this week. It was a good episode. We have Nolly here, who read the books to help us make sure that the directors did stay true to the George R.R. What's up with the George R. J.R.R. George R.R. What's up with the double R's? Like, who's the Monopoly man?
It's really, really talented. That's why.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, man, did everybody get a chance to see the Game of Thrones episode? This is the Game of Thrones. The what's the show called? The
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon.
It is Games of Thrones, but
it's Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. Let me see if you got a chance to see it real quick, man. I just want to give us an evaluation this week. I'm going to go ahead and put my thumb up or down or meh for this, and let's see what you think in 3, 2, 1.
Nolly,
Nolly's frozen. Nolly's overwhelmed with
Okay, thumbs up. Okay, Stephanie, what was yours? Right in the eyeballs.
Stephanie's emoji.
Right,
okay,
that's fine.
Stephanie's busy, man. So let's tell Stephanie about how it was. Did anybody have a thumbs down? I didn't get to see everybody.
No,
everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, would you mind? Since this did happen Sunday, we can go ahead and break this down. So spoiler alert for those of y'all who haven't seen it. We're gonna go ahead and talk about what happened on the show. Yes, what happened on the Game of Dragons.
Okay, so on House of Dragons, we basically learned that after Rhaenyra's mom and brother died, the king obviously has to take on a new queen. He's got to keep on his legacy. So there are many prospects in the kingdom for him to decide on, but the main one that is been pushed on him is combining the House of Valerian. Is that the Valerian. Okay, the Valerian household is combining the Valerian with the king because they are the two known oldest households in the entire kingdom, and that would just honor unity, strength, and just solidify their bond with no one could just ever question their claim to the throne. So the king is not very prone to this idea because he would be marrying a 12-year-old little girl. So there's very, very high, I would say, feelings in the council right now because the king has to make a decision, and he ultimately tells everybody that he is actually going to be marrying Allison Hightower, which is obviously Otto, the Hand's King's daughter, and Rhaenyra's best friend, his daughter's best friend. But Rhaenyra didn't actually know that her best friend was scheming to try and marry her father. So this is very new, very betrayal for Rhaenyra, and at this point right now, she is just questioning whether, this is a act for the kingdom or an act for, him to solidify a new heir. So, and basically dethrone her as his heir. So tensions are high, definitely in the royal family. Allison definitely tried to mend that bond before, things got a little hectic between them and try to get them to talk. But also we found out that Rhaenyra got to pick a new Kingsguard, and she picked Sir Criston Cole as her new guard. Of course, he just won the tournament in the last episode. He's the Dornish man. So we're very excited to see what's going to come from that. But we also got to see Daemon be a little bitch and steal an egg and go hide up in the fucking tower. I can't remember where he was hiding at, but he was hiding over in one of the one of the kingdoms, and Rhaenyra decided that Dragonstone, thank you. He was hiding in Dragonstone, and the king decided that he was going to send his King's Guard and his Hand of the King to go and try and retrieve the egg. But we all obviously know tensions are rising when men and their egos are involved. So what could have been bloodshed, Rhaenyra came and ended that shit. She showed up like a OG, the true queen, and showed up on her dragon and just, came and told her uncle, like, you ain't got no heir. Why'd you steal my fucking egg? Give me the fucking egg back. And guess who gave the egg back? So, yeah, it was a very interesting, it was a very, very interesting episode, I think. I loved the conflict between the two of them. Like, you can definitely see there's, like, something going on between Rhaenyra and her uncle. And I'm just, like, kind of curious to see where that relationship is going to obviously go to, because obviously this little girl has control over this man who no one can control him. So it's very, very interesting for me, I think. So
yeah. Wow, thank you for the rundown, man. If you didn't see it, you have now. Good grief.
Yeah.
I'm loving the dragons. I'm loving that they're leaning into the dragons. This honestly is my favorite part about this show, is that they are not doing what Game of Thrones did for the first 3 seasons of their show, which is tease us with the dragons. Like, we have full blown, not only dragons that have personalities and names, but we have dragons that we don't even know yet that they're throwing out there, that they're like, yo, look, this dragon's coming too. We're like, oh shit, like there's more dragons on the way. So obviously the name of the show is House of Dragon. We expect to see dragons, but with Game of Thrones, you never really know. You know what I'm saying? Because they be teasing so much, man. But there's a lot of stuff that was happening in this one. They tried to, yo, Ty. I thought about you when this happened, bro. Would you try to marry your daughter off to the king to secure a good future for not only your family, but also for your kingdom, even if she was under the age of 14, bro?
I'm not trying to marry my daughter off ever, but so let's make that clear. But nah, I mean, this is so, out of the realm of possibilities for a lot of people when we see it, but like when you actually get to see it unfold. But this is something that, in history was done over and over again. Like, there when it came to continuing bloodlines and continuing houses dominance over different societies, it was necessary in some cases to marry young. And when you see this little girl in her fragility, being 12 years old, but being reserved and under control enough to tell a grown man, sire, I will bear you many children.
Yeah.
Our house will live on with pure bloodline, pure bloodline. For a young a 12-year-old to have the
Maturity.
The maturity in that moment, and not just that, but to be so concise in what she's saying. Um, it just, how many times did her mother practice this with her for her to get that down? I mean, she didn't stutter, she didn't stammer, she
Mhm.
was very, straight up with what she was saying, and this is just all about what they were talking about this entire episode, which is continuing the lineage, continuing
Right.
the Targaryen bloodline on the throne. We need to have an heir. We need to make, so we'll do it by any means necessary. And you see, not just this household, but another father within this episode willing to sacrifice his daughter in order to procure the throne. So this it's very disturbing when you see it, but this is something that definitely went on.
Is it? I mean, but all right, something came to my mind, Tyrone, during this whole thing. Like, one thing Game of Thrones does well is give us cringy reality. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I
For
don't know if
sure.
y'all peeped it, but the very first episode, there was a whole lot of incest thrown around. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, like there's cousins marrying first cousins, and oh, we ain't really cut. Oh, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, during this very conversation, I think that the dude said something like, "Oh yeah, you're my favorite. You're my
Favorite cousin. Yes.
cousin, uncle, or something like that." You know what I'm
Favorite
saying?
cousin.
Yeah, but the kid, their son, their one of their children, or somebody was like,
Like second cousins.
but it's all weird, But to us, it's weird. But to this time frame and this land, that's just how it gets down. And I'm not trying to make things nasty, so please don't take what I'm about to say as me trying to condone this action. But back in the day, from what I understand, like, women were pushed out the house and wed off at much younger ages, like 12, 13.
9 years old. As soon as they bled.
I was just about to say, the moment you start to bled, when you can bleed, you can breed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's to us, we're sitting there like, oh my God. Like, I was sitting there watching with my wife, and the whole time this is happening, like, her face is just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and she almost was like, I don't know if I can watch this. I was like, well, hold on, Game of Thrones, they do this type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
You have an 11-year-old daughter, though. You know what I'm saying? So that's definitely like a big, indication as to why her facial expression, like, well, she can imagine nowadays, like, trying to marry off your daughter. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That's why I see that.
Yeah, and that's my point. Like, Game of Thrones, they ain't afraid to go there. They like, well, look, man, this shit is happening. Like, and for just let's not forget, the daughter was with it. Like, not their daughter, but his daughter. His oh man, I can't remember her name.
Towers.
Yeah, Rhaenyra.
No, that's Rhaenyra is his daughter.
King
Alicent
daughter.
is the High Tower. It's
Yeah,
Alicent
Alicent
Hightower.
is Otto Hightower's daughter.
Okay, well, I'm talking about this girl right here.
Yes.
That's Rhaenyra.
Yes, Rhaenyra. Yeah, like when Pops was trying to talk to her and was like, "Yo, I gotta, I hate to have to do all this." I think she was under it. She was like, "Yo, the girl's so young," and he's like, "Look, man, we got." She's like, "Look, we got to do what we got to do." Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? We get it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We know what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like she was ready, but then he switched it and went for the love vote, right? And I don't know if that was the right thing to do. But it seems like he's following his heart, and I don't know whether or not, and maybe Nolly knows this already because she's read the books, but I don't know whether or not this is her acting out of ambition. Doesn't seem like it's her dad, and it's certainly not something she clued her friend in on. What's up, Yas?
I just like this whole situation. If you like revert back to like Games of Thrones, season 2, this is giving me so much of like just Robb Stark vibes right now. If you guys remember, you know what I'm saying, the the worst wedding in the world. Okay, was I think the red wedding or something like that they all died.
Red wedding.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like this is just like no lie. When I watched this, I literally looked at Austin and I was like, I'm so happy we're getting to this point in the other seasons, because like season 2, Robb Stark fucked up because he made an alliance. He fucked up and married the wrong person.
Damn.
In doing so, he literally crumbled his whole household. And this fucking man is the king, and he's fucking doing it right now. And Austin just looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, just keep watching Games of Thrones. You'll see what I mean. And he was just like, okay. And I'm just like, literally this whole fucking episode, it just like, I was like, holy shit. This is, we're literally watching history recreate itself. It's
wow. It's such a good perspective you could bring by watching Game of Thrones at the same time as watching this. Thank you, Austin, for forcing her to do all that, bro. Because you're right. I forgot about that. Like Robb Stark became content with the romance of love and with all, and when his mom was like, no, man, that's not how this shit works. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, and that was one thing, you know, after Game of Thrones, they do this thing called like, After the Thrones, or like sometimes they'll break down the episode. And one time I was watching it, it was basically saying like, in Game of Thrones, it seems like it's one of the few shows where the good character is punished for doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that 100%. Seems to be one of the running themes with Game of Thrones. See Ned as a reference. Like when you try to do whatever is right, you end up getting punished for it. So are we watching another Ned, another Robb Stark happening right in front of us? There's a guy who's trying. Now, the only problem I have with this is it's not like Robb Stark in that I don't think that this chick really fucks with doing like that. Yeah, like I don't know if like she even seems surprised. Like she's like I want to marry what's her name?
Right, but that's only because they literally just had a conversation about it, and she just told him that was the right thing to do. The last conversation they had between each other before the council meeting was that he was going to marry her because it was the right thing to do, and she said, "You're right. You should listen to your council. They're very wise." She said that to him, to the king, and he made the ultimate decision to be like, you know what? I enjoy Allison's company. I enjoy talking to her. You know what I'm saying? I just lost my wife, who I also enjoyed her company. I don't want to be wedlocked into a marriage where I can't even touch, let alone have a, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be a while before I build any kind of like relationship towards this person. And he already has this with Allison. So he was just, that's why I was like, man, this is some Robb Stark shit. Like, what the fuck, man? Because literally, like, because they denied their duty and went for love, it crumbled the whole household. You know what I'm saying? And like literally that's what the main king, when he passed down the throne, he said the fucking kingdom can only crumble from inside.
Sorry.
Also, before we give the king too many kudos, Allison's 15.
Yeah.
I do want to just throw that out there. So
that's the normal marrying age though. Rhaenyra is 15. That's the normal marrying age though. 14, 15 years old. Like look at Sansa. Sansa got sent to the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the normal age to get married and have, and you know what I'm saying? Have kids.
No, I understand that in like Game of Thrones land is okay. But I'm just saying like for us, like, before we're like, hey, he's doing the right thing. Like, he's not, she's 15. Like it's still gross. I you kind of posed a question earlier, Vince, and that with all of the incest and all of the child brides and stuff like that, and because it is a fantasy show, which means that George R.R. Martin's idea of fantasy involves a lot of incest and a lot of child brides. So I think it is fair, and I brought this up on Wednesday on Multiverse. I think it is fair to be like, is George R.R. Martin okay? Like, should we be worried about this dude? You know what I mean? I think that's a question we should be asking, because he's like,
at least he took his twisted shit and turned it into something beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That we can like enjoy as, like people who like, fiction, not in like a creepy ass way. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look,
I'm just saying, at least he's not in like some basement doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's creating stories for people. You know what I mean? Like through his weird fantasies.
And yes, Mr. TIE Fighter 11, George Lucas had his star character kiss his sister in the first movie. So this is not completely just George R.R. Martin.
That was in the 70s.
Also, I
Just
do
saying,
want
y'all.
I want to
Just
address.
saying.
I do want to address the idea that this show is based on history. It's absolutely not based on history. This show is a completely made up world in which dragons exist and magic exists and stuff like that. Anybody who's like it's history, no, it's not. Calm down, y'all. This shit is made up.
There's a loose based history.
Yes.
This is a timepiece, and the time that there is medieval. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes,
I would say again, it's completely made up, but also like you can't throw the history thing out there and then also throw dragons in there and be like,
but is it though? I feel like some things are made up and some things are not though, because like if you really dive into it, okay, so the people with the white hair are the royalty. I'm sorry, but in England, the crown, all of them wear fucking white wigs, do they not? So it's got to vary. Like you have to think about it. And like, I'm not trying to down your people because I know your mom is British. I'm just saying, like in England, I'm just saying in England and stuff like that. In the old ways, they did marry their fucking cousins and shit like that to like keep on their, you know what I'm saying? So like that wasn't a non.
I do trust me. I do get that. What I'm saying is to use history as a way to shoehorn in incest and child brides, but then also be like, but also dragons and ice zombies and stuff.
It's fantasy.
Come on, Tyrone. I mean,
is
you
it fantasy or is it history?
Tyrone, listen, you're about to try to argue
it's based on historical facts.
Yeah, Tyrone.
Wait, so is it fantasy or is it history? Is what I'm saying. Like,
Tyrone. Come on now. Come on, bro.
You're not understanding what I'm saying because I understand what Game of Thrones is saying, but every time somebody brings up the idea of a 12-year-old getting married to a 50-year-old, everybody's like, but it's history. But then every time somebody says, but dragons, it's fantasy. So
come on, bro. Come on, Tyrone. You can't be this. Come on, Tyrone. You're not getting right. You can't be right.
You're not hearing what I'm saying.
I'm hearing exactly what you're saying.
No,
we're taking things and putting them out of context clues. I get you. We're using the context clues and taking them out.
Let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. You're saying, listen, the concept of incest or the concept of young marriage is fantasy based. And it's just like the dragons. These things didn't really happen. This is not real. So don't give me this happened historically when it's happening in a world where a dragon just went head to head with another dragon. Like this is not historically accurate.
No, like in our actual history, like absolutely, like incest happens probably still today. Child brides happen. Absolutely. That's a thing that happens. What I'm saying is this was a completely made up world that didn't have to have incest and child brides, but there seems to be a lot of it. So all I'm saying is that maybe George R.R. Martin likes incest and child brides about as much as he likes dragons, and maybe we should be concerned about that. That's all I'm saying.
Come on, bro.
I feel like it's one of those things where they're like, this story is based on true events, but they have been changed and altered so that way that you know what I'm saying? Like,
how you gonna be this mad about She-Hulk twerking and then not be this mad about a child bride?
I mean, I'm not. It's part of the history, though. This is history. This is part of them explaining their history in the story. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm mad because like they use something to desexualize women to put into Marvel. That's why I'm mad about that. So it's like there's a fine line of a difference. I'm just saying, in the conclusion of like why you would be mad about this and that. This is based on, like I said, similar facts could be like taken as true facts, yes, and they have been changed and altered for fantasy. That's what I'm saying. Like the twerking is a completely different fucking story.
I would just like to put for evidence. I'm going to put the twerk back on the screen so we can remember what that was. But yeah, Tyrone, some of what you're saying is kind of bullheaded. I'm gonna just say frankly, but I understand the point he's saying. I mean, he's basically like, you must have really hated Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
I love that movie, actually. It's one of my favorite ones.
Abraham Lincoln didn't exist. It's a movie.
Vampires don't exist.
There's no real vampire.
I withdraw my statement because it's being completely misunderstood. So I withdraw my statement completely. I love incest. I love child brides. This is amazing. We should be.
I don't think that, but hold on. You're making it sound like, I mean, and I understand why, but the inference that I'm getting from you is that by including these elements of our old past, let's just admit it. I mean, not ours, but of what could be, because I mean, just like some of the outfits, just like the castles, just like, you know, some of the ways that they use transportation and the weapons, which are from a certain time period, that by putting these elements in the story, it's condoning or maybe even promoting incest. Like George R.R. Martin is a member of NAMBLA. You know what I'm saying? Like he's putting these things in as a way to kind of send a message, whereas what Yaz is saying is like, look, the same way they're fighting with swords instead of guns, because that's the way it is in that time period, the same way that they're riding in chariots instead of cars, it's the same way they're marrying young children, because in the time frame that they're trying to depict, these types of things that happen, as cringeworthy, as foreign as they are to us, were considered normal. Even though this is a completely fantasy made up world, the world is based on a certain time frame, and the time frame that exists, these type of things were common, not condoned, not necessarily smiled upon, but these things happened. You know, I mean, I don't think that George R.R. Martin has a thing for his cousin because he wrote in the script that that cousins got married. You know what I'm saying?
Again,
right, I just want to say mic drop on what I was trying to explain. Thank you. All right.
If you could drop as many mics as you want, but nobody is hearing what I'm saying at all.
You're hearing it.
No, you're not. Yeah, trust me.
You're just not conveying it in the way that you're.
Yeah, Ty.
So convey it to us.
Listen. I've heard what he's from. One thing that I like I said, that when it comes to Tyrone is very literal and very technical, and sometimes you have to really be specific about what you're saying. Otherwise, it does bother him. He's like, hold up, that doesn't make sense, and I get it. What I was saying from the standpoint of historically, I meant from the standpoint of monarchies. From the historical point of monarchies, this kind of behavior was something that was kind of what monarchies were built on, the foundational piece of continuing our bloodline, keeping our bloodline pure. And if you look back in different cases in history of monarchies, you'll notice that there was a lot of incest, a lot of inbred marriages and things like that established governments and established these things. And that's what I was saying from that standpoint of the monarchies, is the representation of the historical standpoint that I was saying. I wasn't saying that this is in any way a real place, but I think anytime you're doing a movie and you're creating something, it comes from something real, and whether how you depict it on screen or how you depict it, in your writing, it does come from a place of somewhere true. So that's just me. But I get where he's coming from, though.
I get what Tyrone. I'm sorry, my bad, bro.
No, I was just saying I get what he's. I just know how it is. So that's why I was saying, like when he's heard me say this twice with the historical part. So I think what I should just make sure that I'm clear about is, I think the monarchy part of that part of it is the historical, where I keep mentioning historical. I obviously know that that dragons don't exist, and this is a more of a fantastical realm, but I still think it does hold true to the foundation of monarchies and everything like that. If that makes
okay,
sense.
just real quick, so I could all of that, obviously, I know all of this, and I know that you guys know dragons don't exist. What I'm saying is, hold on, time out. What I'm saying is, when George R.R. Martin sat down to write Game of Thrones, and he was like picking stuff that he likes from actual history, like one of the things that he picked that he likes from actual history was incest and child brides. And he didn't pick so I'm just saying, and he picked a lot of it. Like, it wasn't just the Lannisters; it's basically everybody. I'm just saying, like, maybe George R.R. Martin's got a lot of love for these kinds of things. So I'm just saying, maybe we should be like, hey, is this dude okay? That's all I'm
just
saying.
remember too, we all like drama. So when we're watching something, and depending on how much drama and how much like content and storyline is like going back with this, we're gonna keep fucking watching that shit because we're like, yo, did you see like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like cousins are marrying cousins, they're having babies, and like what I'm saying? Like why wouldn't you be interested in that stuff? So you gotta think about it when he's a writer. He's trying to get us interested in the storyline so it can keep going. These people had to come from somebody, obviously.
Damn, y'all are going hard for incest, man.
I was about to say, I don't know.
Y'all go real hard for
for
incest.
the story purposes, like obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like if it didn't have that in there, do you think that we would still like it as much as we do?
I would hope, that's sort of my point, though. That's sort of my point is that
but
like
I'm just saying, just think about it. In Games of Thrones, the fucking relationship between Cersei and fucking Jaime, that was some crazy, seriously compelling shit. They had 3 fucking children, and she passed them off as her husband's kids. I'm just saying, like, think about that storyline. We wouldn't have been so compelled to keep watching that shit if it wasn't fucking crazy like that. That's all I'm saying. He's a fucking writer. He wants people to read his shit. It's got to be something that's out there. Of course, he's going to be making real.
Yeah, that was a crazy. I love the Lannister storyline. That Lannister storyline was amazing. And then he was like, "Let's do this a bunch." That's all I'm saying. Like as a writer,
Tyrion,
like
Tyrion
diversify your
shit.
bonds. You know what I mean?
Like
like
exploiting it. So that's what I'm saying, though. Like there's pick and choose. Tyrion was all about exploiting the fact that his brother and sister were fucking each other, and his kids were Jaime's
Yeah, I
kids.
remember. I watched it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I 100% remember that.
That conflict that we like. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to do with like we like the incest. It's the conflict that goes along with that. You see what I'm
just
saying?
I watched show and I'm like, damn, incest again. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's what I'm saying. Like maybe just mix it up a little bit.
But Tyrone, like incest again because the story that we watched originally was based on what happened. This is a prequel, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I think some of what you're saying is like, look, by him bringing it into it, it's glorifying it, or no, it's an unnecessary inclusion because it's like what are you like? What's going on in your head to where you keep like?
No, I'm just like, why you like incest so much? So I'm not saying there's like any even. I'm not even saying that there's a message by the show. I'm just saying like, bro, why you like incest? There's a lot of it. Why you like it so much?
Well. I mean, do you think that? Listen. He also wrote in there that Khaleesi was getting raped. You know what I'm saying? For like a few weeks. Does he like rape? You know what I'm saying? Is he a rape?
Well, that's it. You bring up a good question because he does. There's a lot of rape in Game of Thrones. There's a lot of there's a lot of
conquering and pillaging.
Hold on, time out. No, there's a lot of rape in Game of Thrones. There's a lot of rape that you see on screen of women getting raped in Game of Thrones, right? Now, like we know that Theon got raped by Ramsay Bolton, right? But we didn't see it happen. You know what I mean? Like, so the rape that's depicted on screen is very much, violence against women, but we don't see that against men. So like, what I'm saying is, he seems to have an affinity for certain things, and I'm seeing certain patterns in the show, and I'm just like, there's just a lot of certain things, and this is like, if we're gonna like this Game of Thrones universe is going to be expanding, and I'm just like, man, if it's going to be cousin fucking and raping all the time. I think that
it's just like, yeah.
I just don't know. And don't forget, real quick, Stephanie does have a question of the day. What would you like? Who would you like to see as your next She-Hulk cameo, which we're going to start talking about in the next few minutes? So don't go anywhere. But what I'm saying is like, I don't know. Is it possible for a writer to believe that certain points are of interest without necessarily condoning or promoting them as like, because and I know we're joking a lot of what we're saying is joking, but I do get the sense that you truly do believe that George R.R. Martin, and I don't know the guy, he's not like in my house, I don't know, as far as I know, he could completely be, he could sleep in an incest sleeping bag. I don't know.
Oh my
God. But it sounds to me more, it feels to me more like we have an author who uses these elements of a time period to generate interest, not like we have a guy who's obsessed with rape and incest who wants to write books about it because that's how he gets off. But I don't know. he could very well. He could very well be that guy.
And like find this question out because I'm sure many people have the same thoughts that you do, Tyrone. I'm just saying, like,
I'm just like, hey, there's just a lot of it.
Definitely like tweet,
I
have
didn't-
someone tweet this because
Yeah, I didn't make any like crazy overarching statements, whatever. I was just like, hey, a lot of incest, a lot of child brides.
Hey,
So I'm
Lana
saying,
says, what's up? And then JJ Abrams, you know what I'm saying?
So
Like,
just so you know, the comments are heavily in your favor.
Yes.
One time for James Ahan.
because they listening, that's why
They're
they
capping.
hear me.
They are caping for Tyrone today.
image the
What's up,
artist.
Ty?
I feel you on the female characters. I feel you. You speak for them women, man. What's up? I feel that.
Yeah, he came in, dropped knowledge, and left, man.
I know.
Don't feel you, man. Nah, man. Don't be coming here. We talked about Hulk like 2 hours ago. He coming here. The thing about Hulk is, and then just let at least listen. To
No, he came back for another thing
Came
too
back.
about
Okay.
other stuff. You know.
I see that. What's up, Ty? My bad.
All right, so obviously George R.R. Martin's stuff is like based, loosely off medieval times, right?
Mhm.
But some people like I also feel like, like I do, that it's loosely also based off like historical things. So here are some of the things that people have said, right? This could be modeled after the brother sister. Well, this was for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Brother sister Targaryen unions on the ancient Egyptian royal families that practiced incestuous marriages. The famous seductress Queen Cleopatra was the daughter of Ptolemy. What is that? 10, 12? Looks like the 12th. And his sister or half sister. At Ptolemy's death in 51 BC, 18-year-old Cleopatra ascended, married to her 10-year-old brother, whom she, of course, had killed. Such marriages were not a peculiarity of the House of Ptolemy. King Tutankhamun, who took the throne in 1332, was the son of a brother-sister marriage. Egypt was then a world power, and the young Tutankhamun was worshipped as a god during his short life. So that's all. That's when I was implying what I was implying. That's all I was implying from anytime you're a creative and you're writing, and I mean, Tyrone, you know this, you're a writer. Like there are very rarely people, and I'm not saying there aren't, but there are very rarely people who just have a mind that just creates things on its own, where you just have this ability to just create without any type of substance or context or anything. They exist, but it's rare. Most of the time, you pull from sources, you pull from things. You pull from things and you create whatever it is you're creating. So that's all I was saying from the beginning when I said historically. I'm just talking about the actual concept. I understand that this is fantasy. I understand that this is not a historical piece. I'm just saying that where he pulled those things from came from somewhere. He didn't just imagine them and create them and just say, oh, like, in this world, they only sleep with each other as family, because that's what I think in my world, this is how it should be done. That's all I was saying. Just make that clear.
Oh yeah, no disagreements with that. And I heard you the whole time. Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Hold on. What did he say that was different from what we said? We were saying the same thing.
No, because I was never arguing that incest never happened in history. I was just being all I'm saying is that George R.R. Martin was like, hey, I'm gonna put a bunch of incest in my shit. Like that's all I'm saying. And like, and there's a lot of it. So that's there's just a lot to where I'm like, there's an awful lot of this shit. Like kind of the way we were like, wow, there's an awful lot of just white folks in Game of Thrones. We were like, maybe some more black faces should be in here. And they were like, well, you kind of right. Maybe we should put some more black faces in here. I was like, maybe if we were like, hey, there's a little bit too much incest, maybe they're like, yeah, we could dial back with the incest and maybe have like 1 or 2 incest families, and then like maybe a family or 2 that's not trying to fuck each other. That's what I'm saying.
Is a
good. But they did. The Starks didn't fuck each other. They weren't starting.
Hey, man, y'all messing my jokes.
Yes, they. What?
Man.
Like,
I'm over here trying to get some laughs, and y'all just like, hey.
Well, you went from serious to
no. It started off exactly like this. I was like, there's a lot of incest in here. There's a lot of incest in child brides. That was how it started off.
That is true. I guess it was just a matter of because the way you first said it wasn't always a lot of it in here. But hey, what's wrong with George R.R. Martin? You know what I'm saying?
I said there's a lot of child brides. Is George R.R. Martin okay? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
but I mean, is that still a question though? If he pulled it from somewhere and that actually happened? I mean, if he's
I just didn't realize there were so many very hardcore defenders of incest. That's all.
It's history.
Guys, hold on. Time out, guys. it was all in a very jestful manner. I was saying, is George R. R. Martin okay? There's a lot. It says I didn't mean to come at House of Dragons so hard. I'm sorry. I love your show. I want it to be great.
Oh my God! Don't be like that. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on, man. If you do you really? You don't have to.
Let's laugh together, Vince. Let's laugh together.
No. I want to take you seriously. I want to argue and debate this to the death. Look, we get the elements of what you're saying, and I'm glad that we don't always agree. Even if in this particular case, I feel like we do, but we don't. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? We all like the show.
I just want to make fun of George R. R. Martin. That's all.
I see. And point taken and done ravishingly well, sir. It looks like we've lost Steph for a second. I was about to say, Steph, dang, man, we was just about to get into the Steph break question of the day. So, Steph, would you refresh us our memories real quick before we answer the Steph break question of the day before we get up out of here real quick as to what we're answering?
Sure. What She-Hulk cameo would you like to see? And this can be either a Marvel character cameo, a celebrity cameo, or both. So what She-Hulk cameo would you enjoy that you think would be well done?
Do you have an answer?
I do. I would love to see Okoye because I just love to see her in anything.
Oh my God.
I feel like she'd be a good foil for She-Hulk because she does not play that shit or not. So she'd be looking at Megan Thee Stallion like, ma'am, no, absolutely.
Right. Okay. All right, cool. You know what? I'm not ready. Tyrone, you got one?
Yeah, I would like to see Bruce come back so they could have some sex, cousin sex. I love it. I had to say it. Look, I absolutely had to. Here's the real one though. What I really want to see, and I think what I really want to see is like just savage, like monstrous She-Hulk. That's what I want to see. I want to see her go like off the chain, like savage She-Hulk.
Yes, dig it. Ty, you got any?
I know he's not coming, but I need Loki. I want Loki to come through, man. Pull up, Loki,
okay.
Man. You know what I'm saying? Pull up, Loki. I know he's not, but you know what I'm saying? Pull up.
Yeah. Nolly, got any?
I know they probably won't do that storyline, but Star Fox.
Okay.
Star Fox.
Yeah.
Didn't we see him in the end of Celestials?
Yeah.
Eternals, yeah. Harry Styles.
Eternals.
Oh, Arrows.
Yeah. He's Star Fox.
Yeah.
That's his name also.
Star Fox,
Arrow,
yeah.
Star Fox. He's got a bunch of different names.
Oh, okay. All right.
She have a relationship. We know about their relationship.
The internet's kicking his ass lately, though, so I don't know if Marvel's going to want to get a piece of that.
Who's kicking his ass?
The internet is. Harry Styles is not everybody's favorite person on the internet right now, so they don't want that meme.
That sounds like a story we don't have time for. So I'll ask you about that in a little bit. I am going to go with Heimdall. I would like to see, since they're so Asgard focused. I know Heimdall's supposed to be dead now. But since there's multiverses, or we at least know his son is out. I would love to see Heimdall, or even Heimdall's son, or something Heimdall. Idris, come on out, homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Earth 818, whatever. It don't matter. That would be dope for me. Well, listen, man. We've laughed, we've talked, we've discussed.
Wait, what about you? Just like leave me out? I don't get to tell.
Oh, man, yes, of course, yes. I thought, yes.
Swerved on Yaz. Damn.
I did. My bad. I was trying to get to the. My bad. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so I want Valkyrie to show up.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Just because like people been stealing her shit, you know what I'm saying? I want her to be an angry fucking drunk Valkyrie kicking fucking ass, on her fucking showing up on her horse like, yo, bitch, that's my shit.
I'm with that. Hey, Deanne, what's going on? Good to see you. Minnie, everybody. Yeah, man, I'm with that, bro. I'm with. I don't know who this dude Ahan is.
Oh
this dude is
God,
hilarious.
really?
You have me laughing the whole time. His
superhero name is the Hammer.
If you don't know what that is, your homework is to go and Google that. We ain't even gonna talk about it right now. Google it on a secure site though, not while you're at work. All All right, so man, that's what it's looking like, man. And listen, we might talk about this a little bit more afterwards. I don't know if we all got time, but for this week, that's gonna go ahead and do it for us. I want to thank Nolly again for joining us and ignoring her kids for a couple hours so that we can get this done. Steph, thanks for pulling up, man. I know you're so busy and sometimes don't even have the energy, but thank you so much for being here. Yes, Ty, Bad Ty, all of y'all, make sure y'all tune in to Multiverse every week on Wednesday, 6:30 Eastern time. As for me, I am going to go ahead and get up out of here. And as I always say, please be yourself. If you're not being yourself, you're being fake, and ain't nobody, you don't want to be inauthentic. I'm still man. And as always, please, if you're gonna be a geek in real life, then go ahead and let that geek flag fly, and the credits do make sense again. Let's do it.
Fighter 2, I just really hate Zangief, only Ken and Ra. You, I find it hard to beat. Blanca, keep a wee ninja hanging, and the uncle album banging. If you negative in energy, then stay out the vicinity.